Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signed 3 bills into law today that strengthen reproductive rights in the state. Now, passed by lawmakers this spring, all 3 of them aim to protect women seeking abortion care in Illinois. Capitol Bureau Chief Max Cotton breaks down these new laws.
The 3 bills that I am signing today send a single, straightforward message. Illinois will always be a place where women have the freedom to make their own medical decisions.
The 3 new laws do several things. One law codifies federal EMTALA laws into state statute. This means hospitals across Illinois will be required to provide medically necessary abortion care even if the U.S. Supreme Court rules federal law does not mandate it. Another expands Illinois' SHIELD law. This means state and local authorities are barred from providing any information or resources to help any out-of-state entity from investigating health care that is legal in Illinois, including abortions and gender-affirming care. The 3rd new law adds reproductive health decisions to the Illinois Human Rights Act, making it illegal to deny someone employment, housing, and a loan or credit based on their reproductive health decisions.
6 years ago, I promised the women of this state that their bodily autonomy is sacrosanct and that I would work with the General Assembly to enshrine that into law. Today is another day of progress and fulfillment on that promise.
Republicans who opposed all 3 new laws argued the anti-discrimination legislation did not have adequate protections for religiously affiliated organizations. The SHIELD law expansion will protect criminals, including human traffickers, as providers in Illinois will be unable to report and help other states prosecute those crimes. And the EMTALA law is unneeded because abortion is not a medically necessary procedure. But for Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, these new laws are absolutely necessary to protect women in Illinois and across the nation.
I am overwhelmingly grateful that we have the tools to protect our people. Because in Illinois, we trust women, and we are never going back.
In Springfield, Max Cotton, WGEM News.
In her speech today, Stratton also mentioned Iowa's fetal heartbeat law, which recently went into effect. Iowa now joins Kentucky, Indiana, and Missouri as neighboring states with strict abortion restrictions.